What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Extra Innings Podcast. I'm your host, Elijah Rodriguez, and we're back today with another episode. Took a day off yesterday, kind of had a late night, and didn't have anything really totally prepared, so I thought we'll just keep it strictly to social stuff. So we had some good social stuff yesterday. If you didn't check us out, be sure to follow us on the social pages, man. We got some good stuff there daily. But today, I've been wanting to do more power ranking stuff. I see the importance of having one weekly. But when you're a one-man team, it's kind of hard to get all the different facets of some of these companies that are doing this daily. But I kind of wanted to go through. I usually check ESPN's because ESPN's has the most accurate power rankings. I just like to do that for the research to see where everybody's at before I make my own. Didn't have a chance to make my own. It's been kind of a crazy week. Got family in town, but I'm going to go through this and just kind of see where I agree, see where we're at. Because ESPN is either on the money sometimes or ESPN's so far they're nowhere near where they should be, I think, at some points. So it's interesting to go through these and see what's up. So let's see. For sure, I already know, and this is the thing. So 10 through 5, I normally, it doesn't really matter. When I go through 5 through 10, I'm going to give you who I think are 5 through 10. But we're going to start. So Kansas City, they have it 11, which I think is already too low. Way too low. They've been playing a hell of a lot better lately. You know, Bobby Witt Jr. is going off. They've had great outings from Brady Singer. Seth Lugo's been pitching really well. So I think that this is a little bit low. I know they've been maybe hitting a little bit of a soft spot. This is like a weird time. A lot of teams are hitting these weird rough patches, man. To say that they're not going to make a playoff spot, I'd be pretty surprised if they don't. But we'll see. We're going to have to see. And then number 10, of course, where we're really going to start it, is the Twins. The Twins are at number 10. Obviously, the big piece with the Twins is Royce Lewis, who missed a good chunk of the season but came back and is now batting .311 with 10 bombs. So it's pretty good, pretty solid. 1.138 OPS, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, the Twins, he seems to be the big piece of the Twins. I know Pablo Lopez, who's been a big piece for the Twins on the mound, pretty much their ace, has been dismal this year, not really anywhere to be found. But he picked it up, I think, last week. He had a good start, so we're going to see if he can keep that going. But 10 at the Twins, I'd say that's about accurate. I mean, they got some good pieces, still too many question marks to rank them any higher, but it's still not a team you can just count out. The Mariners at number 9, I think that's right as well. I think that's a good pick right there. I think if you asked me probably 3 weeks ago, I'd say they're probably somewhere like 6 or 7, maybe 6 or 7, maybe 8. But man, they have, between Kirby and Miller, they've got a decent pitching staff, but offensively have just not been there. They're still 13 games over 500, so I mean that's about right. But man, they are nowhere near who they were the last couple of years. I mean, nowhere near the production. I mean, just almost happy that they're 13 games over 500 for a team. I mean, they'll be in the playoffs. I think they're going to be in the playoffs. I just don't think they have that same energy, that same vibe that they have had these last couple of years, especially with how Julio Rodriguez is playing. He's a superstar, was a superstar, played like a superstar, all-star, all the above. I feel like a lot of these guys, the 2022 season was like magical for a lot of these guys. And then, here we are, 2023 was, and then here we are in 2024. And some of these guys are just not, I don't want to say they're not aging well. They're just not playing that great. Julio Rodriguez is a big piece of that. But I don't have much to say about the Mariners other than the fact that they've been underwhelming, to say the least. That you would think that they would be doing more. The pitching is, I don't know. There's a lot of different problems here with Seattle, but I think that their projection, like how well they can be playing, keeps them in the run because they do show these flashes of wow, that's the Mariners that we've been watching the last couple of years. But until they can prove us out of that and get us out of this weird pitching bubble they're in and get, J-Rod going, they're going to keep falling, in my opinion. Number 8, Boston Red Sox. Red Sox have been one of those teams that's just sneaky good, man. Just sneaky good. I remember watching them when they did the whole thing in Boston when the Yankees were up there a couple weeks ago, and they surprised me. They played really well. A lot of good baseball. That's what them missing a couple guys that they could really be using right now, honestly. But a high piece for the Red Sox, obviously, is Jarren Duran, who's been going up and down, but he's been going up and down the last couple of years. Let me remind you, at the beginning of the year as well. but is really solidifying himself. He's playing really good baseball, and that's just one shining light. I mean, that's they have Tanner Hook who's been nails as of late. Kind of cooled off a little bit, but is still pitching well. Tristan Casas is a weird fucking dude, but he's a good ball player who will be coming in the next coming weeks, so that's going to help them out as well. So the Red Sox have made some pretty big increases in their play. I think I had them out of the top 10 these last couple weeks. They were nowhere to be talked about. Now they're kind of coming into their own, so it's pretty interesting. It's pretty good to see. So Boston Red Sox at the 8th spot. Don't disagree. The Braves at number 7. Okay, this is where it's going to start getting a little tight. The Braves I had high, man. The Braves still, injuries or not, Spencer Strider or not, have been playing well. They've been getting a hell of a lot out of Chris Sale. Max Fried is finally pitching well. Austin Riley's starting to look like Austin Riley we've seen in the past. He's hitting the ball well. We got to get Olsen going a little bit more, but the streakiness of the Braves is what's really hurting them. They'll go through really good streaks and then they'll go through some really bad lulls. So if they can keep the consistency up, their team is good enough. They could be the best team in baseball, and they should be up there with the Phillies, Yankees, Orioles. They should be in that conversation. But lately, with this skidding shit, man, it's tough. And then with the injuries that they've been having lately, and with this recent boost of performance by Austin Riley, it really gives them more hope. But still, you're going to have to need more guys getting in the lineup for them to get any higher. So Braves at number 7. I had them a lot higher, so that's a big drop. I think that they probably, if I had to make my own, I'd say they're 5-6 right now. I think 7's a little low because of how well they could be playing and how well their projection looks up right now. So I would put them a little higher. Milwaukee Brewers have been sitting at 6 apparently with ESPN. I've had them at like 8, 9. Yes, Willie Adames is a good player. Yes, Rhys Hoskins is a good player. Yes, they've got some decent pitching. They've got a great catcher. Contreras has been tearing it up all year. They don't have that factor, right? There's just something about the Brewers. I think they're a good ball club. I think they're a good team, man. They have some good pieces, and a lot of people are talking about Adames, and Adames is this guy. Adames has been in the league for a long time, been very minuscule on every team he's played for, whether that was the Rays, then he goes over to the Brewers, and he's kind of just been that guy. He's a day in, day out kind of guy. He comes in, he can hit well. He's like I'd say he's like a 220 to 240-ish career hitter, so he's good. People are calling for him to be an MVP. 852 OPS from what I'm reading here. I mean, the Brewers are okay. They're okay. I think Adames might be a little overrated at times. I think they're pushing a little bit with wanting to get him an all-star vote. I think he's a good ball player, but I think he needs to do a little bit more to be on that list. He might be on a ballot. I don't doubt that he's not on a ballot. He might be, a reserve maybe. But away from Adames, they have some good ball players. They have some good ball players, but at the same time, they're just missing that piece that just gives them that electricity, So we're gonna have to see a little bit more. But 6, I think, is a little high for the Brewers. Dodgers falling to 5 is a little bit crazy. The Dodgers again, a team that you would be watching and thinking this team should be undefeated. No question. The amount of money that they've spent, the buzz around them all year long, the going of getting of Yamamoto, Glasnow, Ohtani, building this absolute super team with Will Smith and, all these other guys, though Kershaw obviously has been set back again. Buehler came back this year, but doesn't quite seem like he's really himself just yet. Gavin Luck's been on a skid. Chris Taylor's been doing okay. But, no doubt that they're going to do something at the deadline, which as a owner, I'm upset. If I'm having to be like, I got to go get somebody at the deadline, which, okay, it's not because of lack of performance. It's not because these guys aren't playing well, because what they do have, Otani's having a Hall of Fame-ish year, without pitching. He's just tearing it up. Mookie Betts was doing really well, and then he's got the hand hurt, so they're kind of running low on some guys. So I can see why they're going and they're going to be buyers before the trade deadline. I get it. I understand. Just disappointing when you've spent all this money and having all this stuff. I mean, and this is the Dodgers are no secret people. They're no stranger to buying at the deadline. Machado was a deadline buy. Darvish was another guy that was a deadline buy. So they do this. I mean, the Dodgers are a team that's dedicated to winning. At least they give a shit. But at the same time, I seem like sometimes that you can put all the money you want into a team, and it doesn't always pay off. So Dodgers at number 5, I think is right. They've been coming off some issues. The Clayton Kershaw news earlier this week kind of sucks that he's going to be missing a little bit more time. But I still think they're a good team. So we're going to see. At 5, I think is okay just with the recent skid. Though at one point I had them at number 2. So yikes. But this is where it's going to get a little crazy. And I'm going to have to start being real. So the Orioles coming in at number 4, dropping from their 3 spot. I had them at 3 last time. These guys are another team that's just kind of hit this weird lull as well, losing 5 straight. I don't remember. I don't know if they won last night, but I know going into yesterday, they had 5 straight losses. Let me see real quick. I mean, the Orioles are a team. They came in, they beat the Yankees in that series. They took that series from the Yankees, which was a big fucking series to take, considering that these guys are the 2 front runners in the AL. Let me see. The Orioles win last night. The Yankees got fucking annihilated last night. That was embarrassing. The Orioles won the game. So they snapped that 5-game streak, but still, that's the most games that they've lost in some time. Since I think Adley Rutschman, they've never lost that many games in a row. So crazy enough. But yeah, I mean, the pitching has been okay. Nothing too crazy. They've kind of sucked starting wise. The bullpen hasn't been awful. Kind of flipped it on its head for a while. The starters were really tearing it up, and the bullpen was blowing it away, was giving it away. But now, they lose Kyle Bradish. They're going to have to make some moves. They've already had a couple other guys, and then Corbin Burns is kind of their guy right now. He's their guy. Grayson Rodriguez up and down kind of guy. Not, he did okay yesterday, but still too many holes in that starting pitching rotation. Too many holes in their pitching rotation as a whole. Like I said before, I think that they're going to be going after pitching before the deadline. I've been saying that. God, there's something in my eye. Jesus. But no, yeah, for sure. The Orioles are definitely going to be going after somebody at the deadline or some people at the deadline, multiples. Pitching will have to be a piece of that. There's just too many question marks after Burns. I don't. Besides Rodriguez, he's not a guy that you can rely on 140%. He's going to give you a good solid 5-6 every night. I'm on every 5 days. I don't think so. So they're going to have to put some depth behind Burns to get any higher. And the bats are going to have to come alive a little bit more. Obviously, Gunnar Henderson hasn't stopped. Cowser hasn't stopped. Mountcastle hasn't stopped. But the other pieces in that lineup, the Orioles are studs all the way through. They have a lot of great players. But some of these guys, when they fall asleep and they go into these lulls, those shining spots start to dull a little bit. So we'll see what happens there. At number 3, the Guardians. So this, I think, is still egregious. I think to put them over the Orioles, even with this recent skid and pitching question marks, I think that these two should be flipped. I don't agree with this whatsoever. Cleveland's a good ball team. Yeah, a good ball. Why do I keep saying ball team? Where did that come from? Ball team. Cleveland's got a good ball club. They've got the Naylor brothers who are tearing it up. They got Stephen Kwan, who's setting, crazy ass numbers, hitting 377 best in MLB with more walks than he has strikeouts. But another team that has good, they're playing good ball. Their winning percentage is like above 600, but just seem to be missing that thing, that piece that you need to be like, holy shit, this is a fucking team right now. Like, this is not, you don't want to fuck with these guys. So, they got some guys that are hitting the ball well. They got some decent pitching. I know McKenzie's been a piece for them who's been kind of lackluster this year as well. But again, I think that this is a little bit overblown. I would have put them at 5 and kind of just shifted up Dodgers at 3. I'm sorry, Dodgers at 4, Orioles at 5, at 3, moving the Guardians down to 5. I think that's a better piece there. This seems a bit much. I think 3 is really high. 51 and 27, sure. And I guess if you're going to go off ranking, yeah, I mean, technically, but I think when you look I think that power ranking should be more than record, and it should be a lot more in going into factor there. But number 2, this is too fucking high as well. I think this is way too high for the recent. I mean, I guess this was written, a while ago. When was this written? No, it was this morning. Motherfucker. How do we have okay, I'm a Yankee fan to the death. And I think that the ESPN's relying a little bit too heavy on record here for current power rankings. But the Yankees have had a tough couple weeks. Tough couple weeks. So much so that I would have put them, and I know I just said that I would move the Dodgers and everybody around to 4. I think we'd have to rearrange this whole list, at least 5 below, because the Yankees, I don't think, deserve this 2 spot, who were previously obviously at the number 1, probably on a lot of people's lists. Yeah, especially, getting their ass kicked, Tuesday night, then getting beat 12-2 last night. They're about on the verge of getting swept by the Mets. losing Anthony Rizzo, Giancarlo Stanton, having some injury scares with the Judge getting hit on the hand, the Soto forearm debacle with I think it was a Dodger series. Yeah, I speechless to say the least. I don't know what's got to happen. I don't know what needs to change. Luis Gil again showed up last night and just was not pitching well. Rodon got rocked around his last two starts, maybe three if we go back far enough, but for sure his last two starts, Rodon has not showed up. We saw that emotional video that John Boy and everybody posted, so he's really going through it. Gleyber Torres, another guy going through it who looks like he is just, lights are on, but nobody's home in the dugout last night. Just, man, Garrett Cole coming out for his second start of the year, getting shelled. And I know I sound very cynical and I sound somber, and I apologize if you're a Yankee fan listening. I just, it's what happened? That's the question to ask, is what the fuck happened? I get that people go through lulls. I get that it's a long season. You play 162, and I just posted a video on YouTube. I'm sorry, on YouTube technically, yeah, but on socials talking about like what's going on. Should we be worried? And people are like, it's a long series. We're still 52 and 30. People are throwing out records, and I'm like, man, I don't really give a shit because I'm looking at projection, right? It's like, yeah, what's happening right now is bad, but we look at projection, and the Yankees don't have a great projection if they keep on this trail. They only lost Jason Dominguez, who's also hurt now, who we've been hoping to come up and do some stuff for the Yankees, and he's nowhere to be found. He's going to be hurt for a while. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what's got to happen. I know that there's a lot of question marks people are throwing around behind the plate. I don't think behind the plate's the fucking issue. I don't think behind the plate's the issue at all. I think the issue is the pitching. I think the issue is offensive performance. I think the issue is that. And until we can get that going and get some of these starters back in their grooves, because Luis Gil going from Cy Young, potential Cy Young winner, potential. He was on that track to the last two starts and just giving up like 15 runs in two starts is egregious. Rodon the same. Garrett Cole, coming off of his Cy Young year last year. Yes, he's coming off an injury. Yes, he's probably gatekeeping a little bit, but still, dude, come on. So it's going to be tough for the Yankees moving forward, man. I don't know what's got to happen. I'm praying that they can get a game out of the Mets, but with their play these last couple nights, man, I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried, but definitely wouldn't put them at 2. I think I'd put them at 3 or 4. And the Phillies, of course, you can't. The Phillies are a team that day in and day out are going to come out and they're going to just keep playing good ball. Bryce Harper hitting the ball well, Baum hitting the ball well. Turner's back in the lineup. Schwarber, dude. I think if there was a year, and this is coming from a fucking Yankee fan, I'm a fan of Bryce Harper. I've made a video earlier this year talking about when Bryce was going to get his ring. If there was a year that it was going to happen, though I thought last year was going to be the year that it was going to happen, and they just fell apart. I think if this was going to happen, if there was going to be a time for this to happen, this might be the year. I think this might be the year. They are playing like it's nobody's business. Everyone seems to be on. They just signed an extension with Christopher Sanchez, so they're solidifying some great pitching after they solidified Nola in the offseason. So the Phillies are here to stay. The Phillies are here to stay, and I think that there's not really much else to say. The Phillies are right now record all the above the best team in baseball. I'm not quite sure there's much else to say. So anyway, here's our top. That's my top guys kind of going over this ESPN power rankings. I'll probably be posting a picture of mine either today or tomorrow, depending on time. But we will see. I just, the biggest question marks of this power rankings I have right now are the Yankees, the Guardians, the Orioles obviously they're kind of coming back to, I think they're going to be good. The Dodgers maybe. And then, that's kind of the biggest thing, guys, is just some of these teams that are playing well. There's just big holes that can be exposed. And once they're exposed, it's hard to not look at it anymore. So anyway, guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Be sure to follow us on socials. We have a lot of videos on there, a lot of short form content. And then obviously on YouTube, whatever they say, follow, like, subscribe, turn on notifications when my videos go live. That's apparently a big thing. I don't know why you would need to know immediately when I post. You check it out on your own time. But like I said, guys, thanks for listening, and we will catch you guys tomorrow.